What's up, guys? Welcome to Blade Talk with Scab and Joe. Thanks for joining us here today. Before we get started, as we start on pretty much all our videos, guys, 22 veterans a day take their own lives. Hashtag 22 a day. Vets, you have a place here. You have a place in the entire sword and knife community. We love you, vets. You're very important to us, and keep on fighting the good fight, and there's help if you need it. How are you, Scab? How you doing, buddy?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Did a great job on the intro. Listen, I'm excited about tonight because it's just you and I for the first time in a couple weeks, and you've had a couple of huge interviews. So I'm hoping we can discuss those and get a little into that. Before we do that, though, I do want to say right here at the beginning of this, and I haven't said much about either interview because I've been waiting on tonight. I just want you to know how much I appreciate you and how much work you put into this, and how I am impressed that both Megatron and I are with your, not only your tech stuff. I mean, that's grade A, but the drive to make this better on the phone all the time. And I just want you to know, man, I am super appreciative of you. I have a hard time showing it, but I want you to know it means a lot to me how much work you put into Blade Talk. And it's doing as well as it's doing because of that work. So thank you for that.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Having said that, absolutely. Having said that, your first interview that you did, the first big one, was with Walter Sorrel.
I'm not going to argue with that. You know, this tradition is an extraordinary tradition.
Yes.
You know, this is something truly amazing. And, you know, the guys that came up with all this stuff 1,000 years ago were really extraordinary people.
Absolutely.
And that video's up. It's on your channel.
Yes.
It's doing phenomenal.
Yes, doing really
Talk
good.
to me a little bit about, I know there was a lot of work. Talk to me a little bit about the nerves going into that, because did you have a relationship with Walter before the interview?
I only had, I mean, he's a very busy guy, as you could imagine. I mean, you know, he's extremely busy as a smith. I mean, he's constantly, I mean, he's busy because he's a hands-on guy. He's, you make the orders and he fulfills them himself. So, so he has a hand in all of the projects that go in and out of his forge. So he's extremely busy with that. He's busy with it also with tactics, with the knife and everything. So it was very hard to actually get him on the phone. We communicated in the very beginning mostly with emails and such. But the couple of times that I did speak to him, we kind of had, for the most part, laid back conversations. I did most of the talking, obviously, because I always do, because I never shut up. But so basically, I tried to kind of just lay out as far as what I had planned, and I told him I would get him like an idea of the content and this, that, and the other thing, and my idea about having questions asked of the viewers and all that. So we didn't have any. We had some more detailed conversations. I would say probably only about a day before the interview. So, but I did speak to him, you know, on quite a few occasions. So I got an idea of how he was. He's a really laid back guy for the most part. Yeah. I mean, you would think,
and that was evident in the interview,
right?
That was evident in the interview, and the flow went really well. But now let's tell everybody how long the actual interview was.
Well, the funny thing about Walter was I had said to him, you know, it might end up being probably about a 45-minute interview. He goes, oh, no. I mean, it could be, you know, it's probably going to be over an hour or so. And he's like, I have no problem. I said, are you okay with that? He goes, yeah, that's how long it has to be. He goes, and he actually told me, he goes, I talk. I like to talk. So it's going to definitely run over an hour. So I said, if you're fine with that, I'm good with that as well. The actual interview, I think I have an audio recording of the interview. I think it lasted about 2.5 hours or something like that. And I had to cram that down to a good solid, actually I crammed it was an hour and 22 minutes that I got it down to. So it was a lot of editing and scaling down and abbreviating and doing that thing. But yeah, I'm happy how it turned out. It turned out really well.
It was seamless. It was flawless. I mentioned that because we talked to Matthew for 3.5 hours, and we'll get to that. But I want people to know what goes into this. this, I think a lot of folks think two things. I think one, it's you guys just get together and shoot the shit for an hour, hour and a half, and it's done.
Yeah.
And two, a lot of folks think that we do this live,
Right.
Which again is a testament to your skill at doing it. Now, having said all that, what did you learn from Walter? Tell me one thing that you learned from Walter that you didn't know before. It could be anything.
What took me by surprise from Walter, in terms of the type of steel that he used, that he actually introduced me to a different type of steel that I didn't even know was used before. I believe it was an A2 steel, W2 steel. And I've heard about it before, but it took me by surprise that he actually works with that steel, and he excels at it. Surprised me about his take on some specific sword architectures that he promoted for cutting. I can't really put into a nutshell one particular thing that really took me back about him. I think just his whole aurora and how he approaches sword making. I've never physically spoken to a smith who excels in producing Japanese style katana. So I think just the whole euphoric feel of speaking to him, most of the swords I pick up are coming from China. So I'm not really speaking to the smiths in China and getting an idea of how they approach things and their philosophy. His philosophy, as far as also how he approaches making a sword, is incredible to me. And that's really what took me back. I think it's just his overall approach in how he handles the task of making a sword from concept to design to execution. I think that whole process really amazed me. I think if I had to put it in a nutshell, Scab, I think it's more of the overall feeling of speaking to someone who excels in the craft of making Japanese style katana. I think that whole thing just kind of amazed me and really took me by surprise as far as how he approaches it and how he handles the task. And so it's hard to really put in a nutshell as far as one thing. I think just the whole experience of speaking to him is really what took me back.
And again, it was flawless. It was seamless. I was really impressed with his overall take.
Right.
And when you're watching it, it's like two guys just shooting the shit, which is awesome. We've been very fortunate in these blade talks where we hadn't had anybody really difficult.
Right.
And that's because of the prep work you put in and that, but it's also because of the guests we've had who've been pretty awesome at it. And we've chosen people who like to talk a lot, which is good again.
Right.
You're at I think 1.4 or 1,000, 1,400 views, something like that.
It's a little over 1,400 views at this point, which it's doing really well. Yeah.
It is. And we want to put a link in the description. Huh?
No, I said thank you, everybody, for that as well.
Well, and that, again, Walter's got a huge reach.
Yes.
What made you, we'll do a couple more questions and then we'll move on, but what made you call Walter? Was it just, what was your thought process there?
It was like one of those things that led to something else that led to something else. I think when we started discussing doing Blade Talk, and then it got into my head as far as, doing interviews, I think that would be pretty interesting, getting personalities on, people within the craft. I think people would get things out of it. They would learn from them. And it's speaking to these individuals in a different setting than maybe their normal YouTube channels, or maybe reading about them or hearing things about them. And I think it was an interesting thing to approach doing interviews with people in general. I think if I had to kind of think as far as where it came from, I forget exactly which viewer it was. It was somebody in our community. I really can't remember exactly it was. And if you guys want to comment and say it was you, I'll apologize and say thanks. But someone had mentioned to me while I was doing one of my katana reviews, and they had said, do you know of a way that I can buy or purchase or deal with someone within the States with an American smith making katana? I'm like, There's, plenty of great smiths in the States that actually Not plenty. I can't say plenty. There are smiths in the States that really excel a lot better than others. I can't tell you exactly how many there are, but then there's not that many. But one name that came to mind was Walter Sorrel's. Howard Clark is another one. He's also an excellent smith in the States. But Walter Sorrel's came to mind, and I honestly just took a shot in the wind. I kind of looked him up on Facebook. I sent him over a message. About 2 weeks later, he actually responded to me. And he had said to me, the message is not the best way to reach me. And, email me. I'm like, sure, I'll email you, of course. So, got on the computer, I emailed him right away. He replied, and I gave him my, idea as far as, where I'm coming from. I wanted to do some kind of an interview basis type of thing to introduce him on my channel and speak about his craft. And he just basically said yes. I mean, just like that. And I was actually very surprised. And then we just kind of got into talking from there in email. And then finally we had a date that we both agreed on. It was about a month in advance, a month in that we basically scheduled something. And, I guess it's all history from here. So I just kind of took a shot in trying to reach out to him. And he was just, he was a gracious enough person that he accepted it, and he did it wholeheartedly. And he really put a lot of time into sitting with me. And like I said, about 2.5 hours, literally sitting with me, talking about his craft and having me badger him with questions and information. So he was very patient, very gracious, really humble guy, though, Scab. With all the success that he has in his craft and with his YouTube channel and his following, he's a very, very humble guy. I mean, you could tell as far as even how he began, and he's it surprised me, what a humble guy he is and how down to earth he was. I wasn't expecting that at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, again, I mean, it was like watching two guys talk, and
Right.
that's what you want in an interview. Now, last question on Walter. Are there any plans to have a Walter Sorrel sword in the future?
Yeah. Scab, from your mouth to God's ears, man. It's kind of hard to get a sword from him unless you're getting it secondhand, because I had mentioned it to him off camera, and he told me straight out. He goes, "Listen, as I get the orders in, they go out." He goes, he doesn't have an inventory of swords. He doesn't keep. He had said even on the interview there was only one sword that he had on the rack, as he called it. And that sword, that's the first sword he's ever had for sale on his site for the last 5 or 6 years or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah. So his sword.
How long?
Yeah.
To follow up on that, how long, if you ordered one today, like if one of our listeners ordered one today, I mean, 10 years, 5 years?
I don't think 10 years is a realistic number. I think it's a little bit more down to like about 1 year to 3 years.
Okay.
Somewhere around there. I guess it also depends on his influx of clients he's dealing with. So he maybe have, 5 that he got out, and then he's kind of starting over again. I guess it kind of, it depends on when you catch him, and also your requests. I mean, it depends on the request. Like if you're looking to get like tomahogany, like the smelted, iron, that, that's a long process. It's also, a $10,000 sword, but it depends on really what you're looking to purchase and what your details are and when you're catching it. But I would imagine 1 to 3 years. And if anyone has any experience on that, please comment, put it down below. But I think from speaking to him, that seemed like the basic time for him to wait.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's not as bad as I thought. Like from hearing from you and Matthew talking when we had I was thinking to be longer than that. I mean, I'm not waiting that long. I mean, I would, but that's an incredibly long time. I mean, I know there's a lot of folks, we hear it every day, 6 months is a long time. Well, if you're waiting 3 years, that's a long time. Let's do this. Let's transition now to Matthew. That one we did on Blade Talk. That one you were excited about.
Yeah, there's certainly been people that have been very vocal about their disapproval of breaking things because whatever reason, breaking it when somebody else could be enjoying it is painful, and I get it. But hopefully, there's fewer broken swords out there in the world as a result of it.
I'm super stoked about it still. We got about 500 and something views on it. And guys, if you haven't seen that interview with Matthew, you really need to, Dude is a wealth of knowledge, and he's entertaining as hell, and he's very articulate. So if you haven't seen that one, check out the Matthew Jensen. But again, same question. What led you to contact Matthew?
Well, I was in a speaking. I did speak to Matthew from time to time. I wouldn't say frequently, but like maybe once a month, and we just kind of started speaking. I had a question for him, and I wanted to elaborate or ask him a couple different questions, because it's actually when my channel started coming off the ground, and he had made some comments on some earlier videos, and I think we started speaking by I actually wanted his opinion as far as how my approach is in the beginning, and if there's any recommendations he has. And he's an extremely intelligent person. He really is. Yeah. I mean, I actually take his advice to heart, because he really knows what the hell he's talking about. I mean, in general, he's just a very intelligent person. He's very articulate. He has great ideas and he has a great way of perceiving what's right in front of you. And so I knew that, and I wanted to really get his opinion in the beginning. So we started speaking in the very beginning over like the instant messenger and all that stuff from time to time, speaking about the channel, making recommendations. And then from there, we started speaking, here and there about certain swords. And, I don't know what the conversation, it's funny because I even mentioned it. Most of the times that I was speaking to him, we ended up speaking more about cameras and photography than swords, because wow. he knows that's my thing. And I know that he's into it, and he's an aspiring photographer. He loves taking pictures. So we spent a lot of time on the phone speaking about more cameras and what's the latest technology, and certain settings for pictures and things like that. And that's what we ended up talking about a lot. So I did have sort of a relationship with him prior to me calling him up and asking him for that. How did I go about calling him? You know what? I sat down one day. I says, if there's anybody that I would want to have on Blade Talk, me personally, it would have to be Matthew Jensen, because I mean, he's a guy I look up to. He's a guy that kind of led me to get into the swordcraft again, get into starting my channel. I kind of built my channel around his format and how he approaches it. So I says, if there's anyone that I would want to have on, it's definitely Matthew. So I should just kind of casually called. I texted him. I says, can we talk? He kind of gave me a call one night, and I just kind of laid it out for him, and he accepted. And that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Well, and I appreciate you doing that. I think that's big for our channel or our Blade Talk. And we're going to get into some of that down the thing. But the one thing I found fascinating with Matthew, there were a bunch of things, but the one thing that stood out to me was how easy he was to talk to.
Yes.
And, you mentioned he was intelligent, and he is, and he's articulate. But the thing that I like is, even if it was never a yes or no answer. He always gave a lot of description, which I appreciate. And I need that sometimes. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't ever want this show to ever be something where it's yes, no,
right,
and have to drag it out of anybody. If we got to drag it out of anybody, I don't want you on the show.
Of course.
Period. Having said all that, a couple things that struck me with Matthew, and this was just kind of my take, was, kind of his philosophy on testing a sword, kind of his philosophy on the video part of it. And the thing that stuck out to me, and I think we talked a bit about this after the show a little bit, but one thing, guys, that impressed me with Matthew was this. He said, Scab, if I do something well, I edit it out, because I don't ever want to do anything that would take away from the point of the video.
Right.
And that really struck me.
Right.
Because it's like, there's a lot of things. He asked me, he said, do you leave me in? I said, oh, yeah. Because I'm happy to do it. Now, I also leave in my failures, but the point he made was valid. And it shows me his sincerity on testing the sword. For instance, with me doing a double bottle cut or even doing a pool noodle. What Matthew was saying is, if he does it, like if he was trying to do a challenge and the challenge was cut the pool noodle, he'll never show you himself doing it, because he wants his content to be about that sword what it does and what it takes, pushing it to its limits. And I thought that was fantastic. I thought that was awesome. What struck you about Matthew, or what did you learn in the interview that you might not have known? It don't have to be one thing, just kind of what did you learn that you were like, oh shit? Because there was a couple old shits for me that I never thought about. And I'm so glad we had him on. But what was a couple things that stuck out to you that you might not have known beforehand?
Well, you actually brought up a really good point, and that's really one of the things that really took me back as far as, I mean, I always knew that he was a great reviewer and he was a really great YouTuber and a great information source, but I hate to repeat what you said, but as I was thinking about it, I'm like, that's really what stuck out to my mind. This guy is so geared towards his reviews and so headstrong and laser beam focused as far as what his task at hand is that he never wanted it to be about him. He wants it to be about the product that he's reviewing. Now, this is completely different from so many other YouTubers out there. Now, listen, I am not knocking, don't get me wrong, guys. I'm not knocking the people who go in and they're doing cutting and showing you how good they're cutting. And I'm not knocking that. That's a specific type of genre and a specific type of thing that you do. His major thing is he has a product in front of him. He's going to basically show you this product, and it's about this product and only this product. He's not glorifying himself. He's not trying to sell himself. He's not trying to sell anything about him as a practitioner, his skills, or anything like that. It's about showing you this product, showing you this particular product. He's going to test it, give you his opinion as far as what his background is, and he's going to test it, and he's going to show you how well it performs or doesn't perform. And that's what amazed me about him the most, is the fact that he's just so laser beam focused from video to video. He has the same approach from the first video I saw from him to the last one I just saw from him actually today. He actually just posted something. So that's what really surprised me, amazed me about him the most, is how dedicated he is into what he's trying to achieve on YouTube. And that's why I admire him the most. And it's that, and I mean his knowledge, traditional Japanese swordcraft. I mean, there's a lot of things that kind of just there's a lot of things I knew about him, let's just say, from his videos. So there's nothing that really surprised me per se about him. It's things that I've been following him for a long time. I've watched so much of his content. I've been speaking to him from time to time. We've had long conversations together about stuff. So nothing really surprised me about him. I think it was more of things I expected to hear from him. And he just kind of elaborated from there. And he just, his knowledge, I mean, he's a very humbling guy. I mean, I know about my swordcraft. I love my swordcraft. But to hear him speaking about swordcraft, I mean, it actually is quite humbling to be next to him and hear him speaking about the swordcraft that I like, you know?
Well, and like you said, too, like the guys who cut, fellas, that's not at all what we're talking about.
No, not at all.
That's what you do. So it wouldn't make any sense for you not to show your success. That's not at all what we're saying. What we're saying is Matthew's there to test the sword to its breaking point.
Right. He's not there to show you how well he cuts. That's not his point. His point is to show you how well the sword performs.
Right. And I'm trying to take that to heart some now. I have a much larger ego than Matthew does.
Right.
So I'm going to show you my shit. Right. But I get it and I understand it. And I am working more towards being that way, where we show you, where I show you the capabilities of the knife. I've said that. I think I even said that to him. I'm trying to show the capabilities of the knife. And so in that, he had a tremendous point.
Right.
The other thing that kind of stuck out to me, again, I think we talked for maybe 3 hours of what you guys seen. That was 3 hours, but Joe had whittled that down to whatever it was. And so there's a lot of stuff that y'all didn't see. Now, some of it was redundant and some of it, let me just say it like this. Some of it was Matthew breaking stuff down for me.
Right.
And again, because I am a total, like if this is one of your first episodes or you're just coming in off of our Blade Talk with Matthew the first time, this is all new to me. And this is a learning experience for me. So I appreciated Matthew taking the time to explain things. So that was part of the 3 hours,
right,
which I'm appreciative of. What you guys didn't see was probably 30 or 40 minutes after of just bullshit.
Just bullshit, yeah. And just shooting the
thing
breeze.
Yeah. And he was happy to do it. And if we'd have had more recording time on our meeting, we probably would have went longer. So, and good Lord willing, we'll have him back on.
I think so.
The other thing that stuck out to me was kind of his take on big knives. And it's neat to me to see people in different areas. This is all one big niche, okay? Blade guys, sword guys, all that. And we try to put it under one umbrella. But there are some distinct differences, between sword guys and knife guys. And we're all one community, and we need to be that way. But it was cool to me to see his take and his thought process on knives. I was impressed by that. I was impressed by the guy all the way around, and I really enjoyed having him on. And I think we're going to try to get him on again, aren't we, this year?
I think so. I actually, he has said at a couple different times that he's looking to come back again. So I think that we'll take a different approach when we go on. It won't be kind of like an interview thing. I think the conversations that we had, just kind of shooting the breeze, I think was fantastic, and we probably made a whole show just about that. But I think we'll definitely have him on, probably at a more of a free talk, different approach, no set diagram or anything like that, because he's just such an enjoyable guy to have on and speak about in general, blade talk, anything, regarding this channel.
I'd love to. And let me say again, how much I appreciate all the work you put in. Let's take now and just kind of transition towards blade talk. Like we said, we're going to have Matthew on. We've got the 2 Erics coming up.
Absolutely.
We've talked to Carl Ridger. We've talked to the Shredder. Donnie all day. So we got a lot more work coming up. What are some of your goals for Blade Talk?
Goals for Blade Talk is more of just keep on keeping on. I mean, I'm looking forward for it to grow. I'm looking forward to it to possibly get into different markets, different areas of the sword and knife community. I know bushcraft is definitely something we want to get into. We would love to have someone from bushcrafting on. It's definitely because that's a huge audience there, and I think. And there is you have a huge audience with bushcraft. So I think it would be great to have somebody from the bushcrafting community on to speak about bushcrafting. I mean, that'll be fantastic. I mean, that's definitely a goal that we have. I guess we're just trying to tackle every area within the our blade community in general, blade community, and to try to tackle as many topics as possible and just basic goals is just to watch it grow, looking forward to grow, looking forward to maybe get into different venues. And eventually, obviously, we're going to look into turn this into an actual podcast. So that's definitely a goal that we have in mind for Blade Talk. But that's, I guess, just keep on moving forward, I think, is the best way I could describe it right now anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. And my whole goal is a podcast. That's the whole deal. I know we're limited, some guys on YouTube at length, and I know some of the videos that are long, I get it, but at the same time, they're worth watching.
Right.
The Walter Sorrel's video that's on Joe's channel, and we're going to run a lot of our stuff. One of the things we decided to do was keep a lot of it on Joe's channel. Now, if we got a knife guy on, we'll put it on mine. But the other goal is to increase both channels. I mean, I'm going to be honest with it. We both want to increase our subscribers. So what I need from you guys, what I want from you guys, and I think Joe's the same way, if you have suggestions, please put them in the comments, or somebody y'all'd like to see on, please put them in the comments. We want it to grow, but the only way it's going to grow is you guys support us. And if you support us like y'all supported me, we'll do great. I have no doubt about that. Now, what do you got coming up, Joe? Do you got a couple things coming in?
Speaking about waiting for your projects for such a long time, I've been waiting for a specific custom sword from a really good, reputable forge called Huawei Forge in Longquan, China, and extremely sought after. They're a really good company. A lot of good vibe and good comments, and a lot of good talk about this particular forge as far as the products they produce. A couple of guys in our community have a couple of them, and they love them. So I've been looking forward to a specific custom katana that I have coming from them. I think I ordered it back in I would say probably early April, and I still don't have an answer as far as when this thing is coming in. So we're going on probably about 4 months now. It's probably going to end up being, I'm hoping I get it before the summer's up. So I got that coming in, and another really good high-end, medium to high-end sword company called Scab. I have a sword I'm waiting on them for a sword, but that I'm probably not going to be looking at till September, October. But I do have coming in shortly some D-bed knives from the Kukuri house. So I think the Gators coming in, the Preachers coming in. So I got a couple of them coming in. So I'm looking to do probably another background video on the D-bed knives and their designs and how they're made. And I think I'm going to be getting also some footage from the Kukuri house of my knives being made. And I actually have a little surprise on these knives that has never been seen before. So it's something
Nice.
I'm not going to tell anybody about, but it's the knives that I have coming in are going to be one of a kind for a specific reason, and I'm going to show that to you, I guess, when they come in. So I'm pretty amped and excited about that, and that's going to be probably a new way moving forward that they're going to hopefully produce these knives. So that's an idea that I had. I put that in, they agreed, and so that's coming in. So that's going to be a little surprise with these knives. But that's probably on my next line of videos is probably going to be the knives I get in from the Kukuri house. And I'm going to have some cutting videos coming in. I'm going to test out a couple of swords here and there. I don't know. I mean, I try to, things change for me every day. So that's just whatever's on the top of my head, but things change every day. I may decide to do something tomorrow that I'm not speaking about at all, that is totally out of the loop, but I guess that's just what makes the world go around,
Well, let me ask you this on the forges in China, and I wanted to ask Matt, and we just ran out of time, so I'll ask you: when we're talking about forges in China, okay? And I think this needs to be talked about because we live in a day and an age where here, it's from China, I ain't buying it, America. The things you're talking about from China, are these hand forged katanas?
Okay.
Or is this drop forged from a factory?
I have a lot to say about that because this is a situation, guys. Now, I'm directly speaking to all my katana lovers out there, the people who are into katana, who are into training with katana and training on cutting with katana, or just, the general guys that just love to do tamashigiri, backyard cutting, cutting up bottles, pool noodles and things like that. And, there's a million of us out there. So all the genres of people who are into katana, love katana, or just casually use katana and have a great time with it. We have to understand something. If we wanted to be only dealing with products that are only made in the States, which is, listen, there's nothing wrong with that. I love things that are made in the States. I have nothing against that at all. Nothing. But if we wanted to basically if we wanted to purchase a katana and we wanted to deal with only someone in the States, I says, okay, you can do that. Go to Walter Sorrel's. Minimum price on one of his blades, only blades, Scab, not the mounting, not the side, not the scabbard or anything like that, not the handle, just the blade, just the bare blade. His minimum cost on his bare blades is around $5,000. Okay, minimum cost. That's the cheapest you'll ever charge for a blade, and that's without mounting it. So,
and that's the other thing too. Yeah. That blew me away right there. That it's all different pieces. But now the guys in China. Just to interrupt you real quick, so I'll stay on track with my question. The guys in China, they're guys like Walter Sorrel's. So they're one-stop shops, or do they send their stuff out? I'm just trying to wrap my head around, because here's the connotation. As soon as you say forges in China, I guarantee you that 3/4 of the audience out there are sitting there thinking about a bunch of kids in sweatshops in China. You're talking about actual forges, correct?
Yes. Well, that's what I'm leading into, because that's it. That's if you wanted to buy in the States, that is the price tag that you're paying for to buy from the States, because then on top of the fact that you're only buying the blades, if you want to get it mounted and make up the scabbard, the saya, the handle, the wrapping, everything, and all the pieces that go along with it to produce a completed katana, I could be wrong, but it's somewhere between $2,500 to another $3,000 that you would have to spend on top of the blade. So that's if you wanted to only buy in the States. Okay. I would imagine that a large percentage of the audience that's watching this right now can't afford to dump that much money on a sword. Like, again, guys, not to say it's not worth it. A Walter Sorrel's blade is absolutely phenomenal. He makes blades in equivalence to what you can buy one of an authentic Nihanto or Japanese blade made in Japan. He makes an equivalent style blade, I would say, if not even better. So, I mean, you're getting the best of the best. So if you can afford it, and if I could afford, I mean, I would have 5 of them. But not to say it's not worth it, but obviously we have to put a cost into the equation. If it was not for forgers in China that was producing Japanese style katana, this country would not have any means of owning their own katana. So we have to understand that and look at the big picture of it, that we should be kind of appreciative to the fact that we deal with other countries and we do import-export goods. If it wasn't for China, we wouldn't be able to actually experience, the joy and the beauty of owning a Japanese-style katana. Because,
right.
If not, you got to, buy one in Japan, spend thousands of dollars or try to find somebody in the States. Now, there is a reason behind that, and Walter did answer it for me because I had mentioned it to him as well. Now, to go backtrack to your questions, the forges I'm speaking about in China, there's different levels of forges, Scab.
Mm-hmm.
You have your forges that are pretty much just chop shops. They'll produce hundreds of blades, in a day. They put them all in one batch and heat treatment all them together. I mean, it's there's a couple of the cheaper lines of Ronin, produce swords like that. Not their higher end ones, but the cheaper lines, they produce swords like that. But the actual forges that I personally like to deal with are more custom forges, and they produce a sword upon an order, so it's not just laying around in stock. So you go in.
That was kind of
yes, it's an actual forge. Okay. Are they giving you the same level of detail as a Walter Sorrel's blade? No, but you're also not paying thousands of dollars for it. It all comes into account. But for what they're producing within the $300 to $800 price point is pretty damn freaking phenomenal. I mean, and it's really, it performs, looks, and feels like a real Japanese katana without being one. So me personally, I'm extremely appreciative of the fact that there are these forges in China. But understand something, Scab. They've been making swords in China for hundreds of years. They're not new at it. It's not something.
Of years.
Well, I'm talking about in modern times, in terms of just whatever they're producing for the general public right now. It is been thousands, of course. They've been Chinese swords, but in terms of the product that we're getting now, it's been hundreds of years, if not more, that they produce. They've been producing Japanese style katanas and Chinese swords, which is another really big market. So it's not like they don't know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. There's some really good, legitimate forges out there that produce some really beautiful pieces of work. And the two swords I have coming in are a testament of that. And that's why I'm really looking forward to getting them, because they're really held at a very high regard as far as the type of work they produce. They're not cheap, but they're also really good quality swords. So that's why I'm really looking forward to getting you guys, showing you guys these swords from these forges.
Well, and to go to my point, and you answered it, and I appreciate that. But I know this: if we got Blade Talk and we're going to incorporate everybody, there's a lot of knife guys sitting out there.
Sure.
And swords made in China, knives made in China are two different things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what I wanted to do there, and you answered it perfectly, was give the distinction between, hey, this isn't a sweatshop with a bunch of kids. These are real forges.
Sure.
Now, the other thing, and we discussed this with Matthew, and it really just sitting back looking at it, and this is why we're doing this. I'm trying to learn, trying to get wiser at it, trying to get better at it. You touched on it with Walter, just the blade. And then all the other is not extra, it's in the cost of the sword, but you don't have one-stop shops, or it's not a one-stop process. Let me put it that way. That was kind of mind-blowing to me. And, you know, with knives, they're made in Italy, and you have European swords and all that.
Right.
But we're talking in this juncture just about katana.
Right.
Japanese style katana. So I think it's important that we include that on here, and we try to be as not only knowledgeable as we can, but pass it along so people understand what we're talking about.
Of course.
You know, because so nobody goes, well, Joe's waiting on the sword from China. It ain't worth a shit. No, he's getting a sword from a reputable forge over there. So, thank you for covering that. I did want to touch on that. And I think it's important that everybody understand that. The other thing is the Kukri House, their customer service is awesome. Like the stuff they're doing for you or sending you footage.
Incredible.
Guys, if you ask them, they'll do it.
Yeah, fantastic.
I mean, they'll do just about anything you want.
Very,
and
very accommodating.
Ex-Kirka Kukri House will do the same thing.
Yes.
So that's kind of our thing on here. We're not, there may be some bias. It is what it is. You can't name anybody that's unbiased. So it is what it is. But I did want to point those couple of things out. I think what I got coming up, I've got a bunch of stuff, man. People have been so gracious to me. And I do want to stop here and say this. People have been so gracious with sending me knives and sending me, so I've got a bunch of knife reviews coming up, some medium and small stuff. And I've got 2 knives coming in probably in the next week that I don't want to say anything about. They're going to be loaners, but I am over the moon about 2 big choppers in my wheelhouse. So guys, keep up with us. Are we having the Erics on next? Is that what we're doing?
Yes. Probably pretty soon. I think we're going to be speaking to them. I think we just have to technically get in tune with getting themselves ready as far as getting it done. I think once we get past that, we'll probably start setting a date to get the 2 Erics on. I think it's probably going to be one of the first in-person, like guest Blade Talks that are coming in, going to be the 2 Erics coming in. Yeah, I think that will probably be the next one coming up.
Again, guys, if there's anything you'd like for us to cover or like for us to tackle, please put it in the comments. Mm-hmm. There's certain topics that we can always come back to, blade maintenance and self-defense and all of that stuff. And we'll talk about that a little bit each time, but I don't want to just get stuck on a topic. So if you guys have a topic, let us know. Joe, I appreciate your time, buddy. Is there anything else you want to throw in there?
No, guys, listen, feedback is golden, man. Feedback is golden because, listen, we're doing this show to entertain you guys and to try to give you the best information possible about latest trends, anything within our blade and, our blade community. So if there's anything that you want us to kind of tackle or approach, definitely put it into the comments. We're here for you guys, and we want you to kind of, view the content on our channels that you want to see. So definitely comment and let us know what you would like to see. And maybe we can take that, maybe do a variation of it or something in relation to that or lead up to it. So definitely your comments are definitely golden. And, a little thank you from Scab and I to all you guys. For sitting through our videos, for being enlightened by them and watching them and spending the time to comment and making comments. Listen, everyone's really busy, and we really sincerely appreciate you guys joining us for all our Blade Talks and even our individual channels, for even just the content that we personally put out ourselves. We do sincerely appreciate you guys being there for us, watching our stuff, spending the time to comment. And that's, we're forever grateful about that. And that's what keeps it going, guys. That's what keeps us going is you guys just supporting us and liking our work and trying to get subscriptions where necessary. And, that's what keeps us going, guys. And we just want to tell you thank you, and we appreciate it.
Yeah, I second that. I'm going to leave it with this for us all. Be a blockbuster announcement coming up. Megatron said I could come to Massachusetts in the spring. So I'm gonna pick up Joe and we're gonna hit D-Bad's house, and it's gonna be a big time. Guys, I love y'all. Let me just second what Joe said. Thank y'all, man. I feel like I don't say that enough. You know, I put out a ton of content, and you guys are gracious, so gracious in watching it. And thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for all the comments that you leave me and Joe. This was a leap of faith. And I kind of, you know, I reached out to Joe. He said, yes, absolutely. Guys, the first episode we put out was just a trial run bullshitting around. But I knew from that, with zero structure, if we could talk for 30 or 40 minutes, that we could do this. But we couldn't do this without y'all.
Absolutely.
So please take the time to like and subscribe to both channels. Good Lord willing, down the road, we'll have our own YouTube channel for Blade Talk. But that's going to be up to you guys. You guys, if you can support it, we'll do it.
Guys, the bigger, the more we grow and the bigger we get, the better content that we can bring out to you. The bigger personalities that we can bring out to you. So if you kind of stick with us and help us grow, we're going to improve the quality of the content that we're getting to you. And like you said, if we, if we make that trip and start, joining up with other YouTube personalities, I think that's going to be something huge. So if you just help us to grow and get the content where it needs to be, guys, we're going to give you exactly what you want and just the best type of Blade Talk that we can give you on YouTube. And I think that's what we're gearing towards. That's pretty much our goal.
The other thing, lastly, is not this September, be too late, but next September,
right.
Danger Fest. Joe, we need to go to that. Because Carl Ruger, Eric Hussein, they're all there. It'd be a great time, another chance to meet up.
Yep, and we'll definitely
take Blade Talk to Danger Fest.
We'll definitely take Blade Talk with us. I think it'll be damn cool. Seeing us, make some fools out of ourselves. I think that'll be definitely something different. But there's a lot of things coming up, guys. So just stick around. We're going to try to keep the content fresh and new. Keep it exciting. Thanks for your support, guys. And you want to sign us off there?
Guys, we love y'all. God bless y'all. We gone.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night. Thanks for joining us on Blade Talk. I appreciate all the support and all the good wishes. You have a great night. Until the next Blade Talk, guys, enjoy and peace out. Thank you.